Have you ever wondered why Father put in his word that Nimrod was a mighty hunter before Yahuwah? And then you read and you cannot find enough information to reveal to you why Father would call Nimrod a mighty hunter before him. And so I did find something that I want to share with you from My People by Jackie Fowler on page 67. It says about Nimrod. God did not record in the Bible that Nimrod was evil. God said Nimrod was a mighty hunter before the Lord, and Nimrod's people were in one accord. Therefore, nothing would be impossible for them, his people. Nimrod had a brilliant mind to organize, plan, and execute anything he set his hand to. That really blessed me when I saw that in her book. And then I was reading in the book, The Black Presence in the Bible, and I turned to page 69 of that book that says this about Nimrod. Nimrod is the sixth and most notable son of Cush. The first report of the table is attached to his name, Genesis 10:8 through 11. Through this narrative, we learn about Nimrod's personal achievements, his proverbial legendary status, his kingdom's foundation and its expansion. Many noble suggestions have been given trying to establish the identity of Nimrod outside the scripture. These attempts have been elusive. Accepting Nimrod as an individual descendant of Cush is biblically sufficient. Nimrod was one of our great black ancestors. Following is a list which may assist us in capturing the character and work of Nimrod based on Genesis 10 verses 8 through 11. Number 1, Nimrod was a creative pioneer. He is viewed as the first on earth to be a mighty man. Compare other firsts in Genesis 4 verse 26, chapter 6 verse 1, chapter 9 verse 20. Number 2, Nimrod was a liberator. He was a mighty man, a champion. He was a champion hunter, a champion of game. Nimrod delivered the community from man-slaying beasts. He was a social activist. Number 3, Nimrod was spiritual. His actions and activities were done before the Lord. He maintained a sense of the presence of God, to whom he was accountable. Nimrod was legendary. People would proclaim to their children, young people, adults, to anyone who would excel, "May you be like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord." Through his acts of deliverance, Nimrod earned a great reputation. His life was worthy of emulation. Number 5, Nimrod was a king. Through his acts of deliverance, Nimrod ascended into the kingship. His kingdom was the offspring of his acts of deliverance and spiritual character. He was a servant leader. Number 6, Nimrod was a kingdom builder. His kingdom was anchored by building, not conquering. Great cities such as Babel, Iraq, Akkad, and Calneh in Babylonia, the land of Shinar. His building was an achievement in excellence. The beginning has both chronological and qualitative significance. He built great cities. Number 7, Nimrod was progressive. The righteous self-determination of Nimrod led him to bring the benefits of his kingdom into the land of Assyria. He made progress, and others benefited by his progress. There is not one hint that Nimrod was violent or oppressed other peoples. Instead, he built Nineveh, Rehoboth, Calah, and Resen, Resen, all Assyrian cities. Summary. The first 7 descendants of Cush were situated in Arabia or Africa close to Arabia. The 6th Cushite descendant, Nimrod, established the Cushite presence in southwestern Asia, both in Babylonian, the land of Shinar, and southern Mesopotamia, and then up the Tigris-Euphrates rivers into Assyria, northern Mesopotamia. Of special interest in this treatment of Cushite descendants, whose ancient presence in the biblical world was extensive, would be the land of Shinar. The phrase is a definite reference to the ancient people known as the Sumerians. The Sumerians were composed of people who were the indigenous population of Mesopotamia and called themselves the Blackheads. Their origin was Cushite. Shinar, capital S, Hinar, is mentioned several times in the Old Testament. Genesis 11, verse 2, Genesis 14, verse 1, and Genesis 9. Joshua chapter 7, verse 21, Isaiah 11, verse 1, Zechariah 5, verse 11, Daniel 1, verse 2. Daniel 1 through 4 verses show the relationship between Babylon, the land of Shinar, and the Chaldeans. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. 2. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, with some of the vessels of the house of God, and he brought them to the land of Shinar, to the house of his God, and placed the vessels in the treasury of his God. 3. Then the king commanded Ashpenaz, his chief eunuch, to bring some of the people of Israel, both of the royal family and of the nobility. 4. Youth without blemish, handsome and skillful in all wisdom, endowed with knowledge, understanding, learning, and competent to serve in the king's palace, and to teach them the letters and language of the Chaldeans. The Chaldeans should be classified as biblical blacks. King Nebuchadnezzar would qualify. So would Merodach Baladan, 2 Kings chapter 20, verse 12, Isaiah 39, verse 1. Even Merodach, 2 Kings chapter 25, verse 27, Jeremiah chapter 52, verse 31, and Belshazzar, Daniel 5, verse 1 and 30. I am very grateful to be able to pick up this book, The Black Presence in the Bible, by Reverend Walter Arthur McCray, Discovering the Black and African Identity of Biblical Persons and Nations.